Well, some breaking news coming in at this hour from Venezuela, where Venezuela seems to be rocked by multiple explosions. Now, there seems to be information coming in of multiple explosions being heard over the Venezuelan capital. Now, the explosions come after Trump hinted at the strikes. Now, at least 7 explosions were heard in Venezuela. Important to understand that these were in fact heard in the Venezuelan capital of Caracas. This is the latest that we're tracking from Venezuela at this hour. Remember that this comes amid tensions between the Venezuela as well as the United States. Well, on this, we have our colleague Vishal Vivek joining us from the broadcast. Vishal, walk us through the details. We know that these explosions in Venezuela come at a time where there seems to be heightened tensions with the United States. Now, has there been any response that's come in from the Pentagon?
मिल रहा है.
Right, Vishal, I wish to understand from you, the explosions in Venezuela, they come at a time where there seems to be heightened tension with, of course, the United States. I wish to understand, has the United States reacted to it?
So far, we haven't seen any reports that would indicate that the US has reacted to it. So far, we've heard that there have been multiple explosions across Caracas, which is the capital of Venezuela, and the explosions seem to have occurred near Fortuna, which is the main military base of the Venezuela army. Some reports also indicate it could be internal, factional differences between different factions of the military. So we still not yet confirmed as if it's a direct attack from the US side. Many reports do indicate that because there have been tensions brewing for months now. Trump has been threatening, one strike after another. He has already struck the Venezuelan territory once about a week ago. There was a strike near the one of the harbors of Venezuela. There have been multiple boat strikes in which more than 100 people have been killed. These boats seem to have originated from Venezuela, and then they had been involved in the illicit drug trade. So this could have been the next step in the plans of Donald Trump, because he wants regime change in Venezuela. He has had his sights on Nicolas Maduro for a while now. Whether or not this is US directly involved, that remains to be seen. But this does seem to be quite serious, because there have been multiple explosions reported across Caracas, and the southern part of the city is almost totally under total blackout.
Vishal, I also wish to understand from you, since you spoke about the tensions between Venezuela and the United States, you also mentioned about how the US President Donald Trump has in fact repeatedly spoken about land operations in the country. Now, walk us through what exactly is the triggering point between the two countries.
See, there are several things here that we can talk about. The first one is, of course, the illicit drug trade. That seems to be the main, contentious point. We all know that the major part of drugs that move from the South American side to the US side, they mostly come from the Colombian part of the whole continent. Venezuela is not that heavily involved in the illicit drug trade. It is definitely playing a role in that, but the fact that Venezuela is the first country possibly targeted by the US, that is a surprise in some ways, but also not, because, as I said, Trump has had his side set, his goal set when it comes to Venezuela. He wants regime change there. Maduro has been a long-time adversary of the United States. He openly threatens the US as well. He has not, backed down. There was some reports that indicated that he could be willing for a compromise, but that doesn't seem to have materialized, because we have clearly seen explosions. Whether or not US is directly involved, again, that remains to be seen. That remains to be confirmed. But illicit drug trade is the contentious point, and also the fact that Trump would want Nicolas Maduro gone.
Right, absolutely. And, talking about the Venezuelan side, you've spoken about Maduro and Trump's clash. Maduro many times has said that the US president is purposely trying to, in fact, get him out of power, so that it is the US that can, in fact, go inside of Venezuela and sort of take control of the oil there. Has there been any reaction that's come in from global leaders, across, of course, different countries?
See, when it comes to Venezuela, it finds itself isolated most of the time. 7 out of 10 times, I would say, Venezuela is isolated on the international stage, because it faces heavy sanctions, not from the US side, but from many allies of the US. Many of his oil ships are, repeatedly sanctioned. We've heard recently that many, big ships of Venezuela, which are involved in the shadow fleet of Venezuela, they have also been targeted. They have been seized by the United States directly. The U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Navy has had several rounds of operations trying to, zero in on these illicit ship vessels. So all of that has happened. But how far this will go, that remains to be seen, because if a direct military conflict starts, there's no competition there, because the US is clearly the much bigger player there. What happens then, we'll have to see, because US has in the past, in the few decades, has been involved in many regime changes across South American continent.